Hello and welcome to Chapter 9. Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 9, Lesson 13. We're going to be talking about subtracting with renaming. So sometimes the fraction in the first mixed number is less than the fraction in the second mixed number. In this case, we need to rename the first mixed number. So this is just like regrouping, but with fractions. Okay, so hang with me. Just keep in your head, okay, when I was subtracting and I didn't have enough, I had to go next door and get 10 more. And so that's going to hopefully kind of reframe your thinking about how we're going to be doing this. Okay, in a black sea cucumber has an average length of 2 feet. A spotted sea cucumber has an average length of 1 1/3 feet. How much longer is the average black sea cucumber than the average spotted sea cucumber? Okay, so I need to take 2 minus 1 1/3. So notice the problem here. I don't have a fraction to subtract 1/3 from. And it's not just like adding. I can't just write 1/3, right? I have to take it away from something. I don't have anything to take it away from. So that's what we're going to be talking about. What am I going to do here? Okay. So first we're going to estimate my answer should be about 1, right? 2 minus 1 would be about 1. You cannot subtract 1/3 from 0/3. So we need to rename the 2. Okay, instead of having 2 wholes here, 2 W-H-O-L-E, whole blocks, I need to take one of my blocks and I need to split it up. So I can take 1/3 from it, right? So it makes sense if I'm going to take 1/3 away that I would split it into thirds. If I was going to take 2/6 away, I'd split it into sixths, right? So I'm just going to look at what do I need to take away? I need to take away thirds, so I'm going to split it into 3 equal groups. So I'm going to rename 2 as 1 3/3. I'm pausing so you can soak that in. Okay, it's worth the same, right? I have one whole and I have another whole, but it's just cut up into 3 equal pieces because now I can take one away. Okay, so 3/3 minus 1/3 is going to be 2/3. Okay, I've got those common denominators, so I just subtract the numerators. 3 minus 1 is 2, 2/3. 1 minus 1 is going to be 0, so my final answer is going to be 2/3 of a foot. And 1 is about 2/3, so we're good to go there. Okay, so here we need to find 4 1/4 minus 2 5/8. Write the fraction, write equivalent fractions, the LCD is 8. Oh yeah, so let's look here. I don't know. I don't love how they show everything. I like showing you my work and talking through my work. So let's do that. So I'm taking 4 1/4 minus 2 5/8. Now notice, they do not have common denominators. So our first step is that we need to get that. So I'm going to multiply by 2 to get 2/8 minus 5/8. Now you notice the problem here. I'm doing 2/8 and I'm subtracting 5/8. I don't have enough. So what I need to do is I need to take away one whole. I'm going to subtract 1. So now I have 3. Notice I'm ungrouping, right? I am ungrouping. I'm just doing it differently, okay? So I'm taking 1 away. I'm borrowing a whole, and I'm going to add the whole to here. And how I'm going to add that whole is I'm going to add 8/8 to it, right? That's worth 1. I took it away from here, and I put it over here to add it to my fraction so that I can have enough to take away. Okay, so now what I have here is 10/8 minus 5/8. Okay, so if I was going to rewrite this problem, now I'm looking at 3 10/8, which I think is kind of easier to do once you do all of your converting, right? 2 minus 2 5/8. Okay, so I can do this, right? 10 minus 5 is just 5/8. 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, so my final answer should be 1 5/8. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, scooch back and kind of watch all that. So You could also read through some of this stuff, noticing I'm just kind of multiplying, getting common denominators here. And then I have to add 8/8 to it. If you are somebody who needs to fill this in, this would be 3 and 10/8 minus 2 and 5/8 is 1 and 5/8. Okay, let's do some more. Listen, I'm going to do a lot of examples here, so hang tight with me. Okay, first we're going to estimate. This is about 5 minus, that's about 4, so my answer should be around 1. Notice that took me 30 seconds, so there's no excuse not to estimate. Okay, so I've common denominators, I don't have to worry about that. But I do notice that I don't have enough here. I have 2 and I'm subtracting 4. I cannot do 2 minus 4 because I don't have enough. So I need to rename my whole number. So right now I have 5 and 2/5. I need to take 1 away from there and add it over here. Why did I choose 5/5? Because I need a common denominator. So my trick is I always look at what number do I have as a denominator here, and I put it over here, and then I put the same number on top, right? Because this is saying I have 5 pieces on my pizza, and I ate 5 pieces. How much of the pizza did I eat? I ate 1 whole pizza. I ate the whole thing. This is also worth 1. Okay, are we getting that? I'm trying to say it over and over again, so you're like, Ms. Hamer, I get it. Don't need to say it again. Okay, but that's how concrete I want this to be, okay? So I'm going to take 2 plus 5, and I'm going to get 7/5. It's improper, but it's okay because we need to subtract from it. Okay, so I have 4 and 7/5. Where did I get the 4 from? Because remember, I borrowed 1 from the 5. I ungrouped 1 from the 5, and I put it over here to my fractions to give more fractions to subtract from. So now I'm doing 7/5 minus 4/5 to get 3/5. And I have to do 4 minus 3 to get 1. 1 and 3/5. Is that close to 1? Why, yes. It is close to 1. Okay, let's do some more. Okie dokie. So I believe this should be your homework. Yep, looks like it. My homework, page 693. Okay, let's do this. I'm noticing we have common denominators, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so I'm working with 2 and 1/8 minus 1 and 7/8. 1 minus 7, I can't do it, so I have to ungroup, plus 8/8. Why did I choose 8? Look at that number right there. Common denominators. We cannot add or subtract if we don't have those common denominators. So now I'm working with 9/8 minus 7/8. 9 minus 7 is 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. Now, I hope you're looking at that 2/8 and saying, Mrs. Hamer, you need to simplify. You're correct, I do. Let's do that. So I would get 1/4. So my answer is 1/4. If I were to estimate this, which I should have done first, I would have been doing 2 and 1/8 is about 2. This is just like an arrow, sorry, not a subtracting sign. Minus 1 and 7/8, which is about 2. So our answer should be about 0. And I would say 1/4 is pretty close to 0. So we're good to go there. All right, let's do a estimation here. 12 minus 6 equals 6. Okay, so our answer should be about 6. This one, no common denominator. So you know what that means. We gotta find one. So I'm gonna rewrite the problem. 12 and 1/4 minus 5 and 2/3. I'm writing it small because we got a lot of work to do here. So I need to get a common denominator. Hopefully by this point you're like 4 and 3. I know it's got to be 12. Multiply by 4, multiply by 4. This is going to become 8/12. Multiply by 3, multiply by 3, and this is going to become 3/12. Okay, so what I'm working with now is 12 and 3/12 minus 5 and 8/12. Can I do that? No, I can't. I'm trying to do 3 minus 8. I can't do it. I don't have enough. So what I need to do is I need to ungroup. Now, we could just take away from the 1s, or you could cross it out and write 11. Doesn't matter. I'm taking away 1, and I'm going to add it over here as 12/12. Okay, 3 plus 12 is going to get me to 15/12. I can subtract 8 from that, so we're good. So now what I'm working with, I'm just going to rewrite the problem so that it's maybe easier to follow. So now I have 11 and 15/12 minus 5 and 8/12. Okay, so if I subtract 15 minus 8, that would get me 7/12. 11 minus 5 is going to get me 6. So my answer is 6 and 7/12. Is that close to 6? Why, yes. Yes, it is. It's about 6.5 because 6/12 would be half, so it's a little more than 6.5. And so that gets us close to 6. So here's our answer, 6 and 7/12. All right, looks like this last one's not too bad because we already have common denominators. So let's take a peek. 8 and 1/6 minus 3 and 5/6. Okay, I can't do 1 minus 5, so I have to ungroup. Now I have 7. Now I'm going to add that 1 over to my fractions as 6/6. How did I know? Boom, there's my 6. Right, when my denominator was 12, I added 12/12. So my denominator was 8, I added 8/8. Okay, I'm just adding 1 and getting that common denominator. 6 plus 1 is 7/6. Okay, so if I were you, and I was doing this in my notebook, I wouldn't rewrite it every time. I'd do this. Okay, I'm going to show you how I would probably do my work. You can rewrite it every time if that makes the most sense. It helps you to keep nice and organized, but you don't have to. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking 7/6 minus 5/6. Okay, this was all kind of like, we don't need to look at this anymore. This was finding, whatever, regrouping, ungrouping, there we go. So 7 minus 5 is going to give us 2/6. 7 minus 3 is 4. Okay, I need to simplify to get 1/3. So our final answer is going to be 4 and 1/3. Okay, you see how I did that? I didn't rewrite it every time. I just said, okay, I ungrouped. Here's this. I can subtract from this. It's a little confusing because it's not right on top of each other. So like I said, choose what works for you, but you have to choose one of these two ways. Okay, we're not going to be making up our own ways of doing things or doing things in our head. We're going to be going through it all on the paper, okay? All right. Make a plan. Sherman's backpack weighs 6 1/4 pounds. Bree's backpack weighs 5 3/4 pounds. How much heavier? Okay, we know we're going to be subtracting, right? So what am I going to subtract? Which one am I going to subtract from the other one? I'm going to look at the whole number. 6 is bigger than 5, so I'm going to take 6 minus 5 and then throw in my fractions there. And 3/4. Okay, so I don't have enough to do 1/4 minus 3/4, so I have to ungroup my 6 and add it over here. Add this 1, 4/4 over here, so now I'm doing 5/4. Minus 3/4 is 2/4. Okay, and 5 minus 5 is 0, so we don't have to do anything with that. Then we should reduce, divide by 2, and get 1/2 a pound. So how much heavier is Sherman's backpack? It is 1/2 pound heavier. Okay. Veronica jogged 10 3/16 miles in 1 week. The next week she jogged 8 7/16 miles. How many more miles did she jog the first week? So again, I'm going to look at my whole numbers, 10 and 8. Notice 10 is bigger, so it's going to go on top. 10 3/16 minus 8 7/16. Okay, I don't have enough to subtract 3 minus 7, so I have to ungroup. Make my 10 a 9. I'm taking 1 away, and I'm adding it to the other side. 3 plus 16 equals 19/16. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract. 19 minus 7 is going to give me 12/16. 9 minus 8 is going to give me 1. Okay, so now I need to reduce. Divide by 4, looks like. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So my final answer is 1 3/4 miles. Okay, I have a couple more problems here. Hang tight with me. Be precise. Coretta swam 4 3/8 miles in the morning, 2 6/8 miles in the afternoon. Joey swam 2 5/8 miles in the morning and 3 miles in the afternoon. How many more miles did Coretta swim than Joey? Ooh, this is going to be, we're adding and subtracting. So I'm going to have Coretta over here. First, I'm going to figure out how far did she swim. So she did 4 3/8 plus 2 6/8. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I get 9/8. 4 plus 2 is 6 9/8. Now, I'm going to choose to keep that improper fraction because it might work out in the long run, okay? So I'm not going to do any like turning it into a mixed number type of stuff until the very end. Okay, so Joey swam 2 5/8 miles plus, and then 3 miles in the afternoon. So Joey swam 5 5/8 miles. Notice I didn't have to do anything because I'm adding 5/8 plus 0. Oh, but don't put a 0 there because then it looks like 30. Really, technically, it would be 0/8. Okay? So 5/8 plus 0/8 is just 5/8. Now, so this is Joey and this is Coretta. Now I need to find how many more miles did Coretta swim than Joey. So now I'm going to be subtracting. 6 9/8 minus 5 5/8. Now notice that paid off because now I don't have to, I was going to take my whole out of 9/8 and add it to the 6. Now I don't have, I would have had to take it back out. So notice it's really beneficial to wait until the end to kind of change mixed numbers, get rid of improper fractions, that sort of thing. So 9 minus 5 is 4/8. 6 minus 5 is 1. Now I can reduce my fraction to get 2. Oh, come on, Mrs. Hamer. I get 2/4, which I notice I can reduce farther. I think I've been doing too many videos today. My brain's starting to get a little tired. That's going to be 1/2. Okay, so my final answer is 1 1/2 more miles. This will be my final answer there. All right, one more problem. Test practice. Ross has 6 1/3 yards of material. He bought 2 1/6 more yards. So if he's buying, I'm going to add, I'm guessing we're going to add. Then he used 6 5/6 yards. How many yards of material does he have left? So yeah, we have to add these two together and then subtract that because that's what he used. So let's do that. Get common denominators. Times 2 is 2/6. 2/6 minus 1/6 is 1/6. Oh, now look at here. I am falling into the trap that you guys fall into. I told you my brain was tired. I'm adding. I'm not subtracting. The whole thing we've been subtracting and now we're adding. So let's get this right. 2/6 plus 1/6 is 3/6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 3/6 or 8 1/2. But I notice I have a 6th here. So I'm not going to reduce it yet till the very end. So now I have 8 3/6 minus 6 5/6. Notice I'm trying to take 3/6 minus 5/6, and I cannot do that. I don't have enough. So I have to ungroup, add my 6/6. This is really hard to say sixth so many times, but 9/6. Okay, so now I'm doing 9/6 minus 5/6. 9 minus 5 is 4. Get my 6th in there. 7 minus 6 is 1. Okay, now I'm going to reduce and get 2/3. 1 2/3 yards. A. 1 2/3 yards is how much he has left. All right, I tried to do a lot of examples, so I hope if you're having a hard time, you can just rewatch the video and try and make that connection between when I'm subtracting and I don't have enough in the top number, I need to go next door and get 10 no more, regroup. But anyways, thanks for watching, and let me know if you have any problems on your homework. Bye.